Having somewhere to live is among the most basic human needs, but for an increasing number of people in the West, it's becoming nearly impossible to find anywhere to buy or rent. In this video, we're going to take a look at the housing crisis currently taking place in the West. An estimated 1.6 billion people won't be able to find a place to live by 2025, according to the World Bank, and this includes hundreds of millions in Western nations, from the United Kingdom and United States to Australia and the European Union. What's the cause, and is there a solution? Let's dive right in. The worldwide surge in property prices is causing a growing number of people to abandon their dreams of home ownership, creating a housing crisis that crosses borders. It's not just about home ownership either, but also high rental prices and shortages of places to rent, which has become difficult for a growing segment of the West's population. This phenomenon, made worse by the COVID-19 pandemic, is not limited to property buyers. Rents are also skyrocketing in various cities and towns across the West. The consequence is an acute lack of affordable housing, leaving an entire generation at risk of being excluded from the property market. People are struggling to find a roof to put over their heads from London to Louisiana and Bristol to Brisbane. The past year and a half has seen an even worse crisis in housing shortages in the West, fueled by low interest rates, a shortage of housing production, shifts in family spending, and a reduced supply of homes for sale. While this has benefited existing homeowners by jacking up the value of their properties, prospective buyers find it increasingly challenging to enter the market, widening the generational gap between property owners and those struggling to afford a home. The widening housing inequality is also creating a substantial divide between baby boomers, who statistically own homes, and millennials and Gen Z, who are witnessing their dreams of home ownership slip away. So, why is housing so expensive in the West? There are three key reasons. Firstly, the 2008 financial crisis and the COVID pandemic hit housing hard, and it's still in freefall. Secondly, there are too many zoning regulations and too much red tape. Thirdly, governments and politicians aren't sure what to do about the crisis. Let's start with the hangovers that are still lingering from the 2008 financial crisis and the pandemic. The primary causes of this crisis is a scarcity of land, lending, labor, and materials since the 2008 financial crisis, resulting in unaffordable housing in many countries. Western nations just haven't come back from the disaster of 2008 or the inflation caused by the pandemic. In fact, in most Western nations, housing costs have outpaced income growth, with data from the International Monetary Fund revealing that in a study of 200 cities globally, 90% were deemed unaffordable, with average home prices exceeding 3 times the average income. This is a huge problem, to say the least. The United States alone faces a shortage of 1.5 million homes, the result of factors like limited land availability and reduced profit margins for builders due to higher costs of labor and materials. The COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated the housing crisis, prompting increased demand for larger spaces during lockdowns and creating a bubble which still hasn't popped. It gets worse in the UK, where a severe housing crisis is impacting the younger generation's ability to own or rent. In fact, England is facing a severe housing crisis, being labeled as the most difficult place to find a home in the developed world by the Home Builders Federation. With a shortfall of over 4 million homes, the country faces the worst housing situation in Europe. In the UK, political debates between Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and opposition leader Keir Starmer haven't yet led to real action. Starmer proposes lifting the ban on construction in the Greenbelt, a countryside area around London. The powerful NIMBY, Not in My Backyard lobby in the UK, however, is full of concerns about protecting green fields and preventing the area from becoming a sprawling metropolis, leading to difficulty in solving the problem. Then we come to the second problem of onerous zoning regulations and red tape. Zoning regulations in North America put strict limitations on the types of structures that can be constructed in specific areas. While there are sometimes good arguments for this, such as avoiding noise and pollution in residential areas, the regulations often go too far. Large portions of land are frequently designated for single-family detached homes, subject to stringent requirements for setback, parking, and lot size. This results in a forced low population density. Persistent NIMBYism, not in my backyard, hinders the approval of reasonable housing developments, perpetuating a scarcity of housing options. The absence of missing middle housing housing, such as starter homes suitable for younger professionals, worsens the issue. Regulatory stranglehold is especially bad in countries like the UK as well, which has the lowest percentage of vacant homes per capita among the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, nations, far above the US, Japan, Australia, and most other EU nations. Around 25% of private renters in the UK are burdened by housing costs, spending over 40% of their income. This percentage is significantly higher than in other European countries, with only 9% in France and 5% in Germany facing similarly high costs. The UK has witnessed the lowest number of homes built since 1980 compared to several European countries including Spain, France, Portugal, Greece, Romania, Bulgaria, and Hungary. The construction industry is asking for the construction of an additional 100,000 homes annually, aligning with estimates from social housing providers and homelessness charities. But so far, it hasn't happened. Then we come to the inadequate government responses to this crisis. Governments are caught in the challenge of finding solutions that do not penalize either renters or homeowners, while still giving a chance to those who need somewhere to live. From rent caps to special taxes on landlords, nationalization of private property to repurposing vacant offices into housing units, various measures are being considered. However, finding an easy or sustainable fix has proven elusive. Examples from different countries underscore the complexity of the issue and the challenges faced by policymakers. In the UK, a manifesto issued by tenants' unions, Generation Rent, and the New Economics Foundation calls for over 3 million new council houses, stricter measures against rogue landlords, and rent controls, although the latter faces opposition from labor. However, there are still big concerns about environmental impact, with house builders facing criticism for lobbying over water pollution and delaying carbon-cutting standards. The construction industry urges the government to focus on building more high-quality and energy-efficient homes to address the housing shortage, but the UK is a long way from any real solution to what's happening, and it's clear that effective planning reforms and a sustained commitment to solving the housing crisis in the UK is sorely needed. In Ireland, Sinn Féin's housing policies played a crucial role in its unexpected success in parliamentary elections. The party's proposals, including building 100,000 social and affordable homes, resonated strongly with voters concerned about rising house prices. In Germany, Chancellor Olaf Scholz's coalition pledged to add 400,000 new homes annually by 2026, yet economists doubt this goal will be achieved. The failure to address this housing squeeze risks undermining democratic stability, with the far-right alternative for Germany gaining support partly due to housing-related tensions. While some regions like Portugal and Spain have increased housing starts, severe shortages persist. Initiatives to attract investors, such as Portugal's Golden Visa program, have led to surges in home prices. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, meanwhile, has promised a 2-year ban on foreign buyers to address housing affordability concerns, but Canada remains in very bad shape. In the United States, government policies aimed at improving affordability and promoting homeownership risk further inflation prices, leaving first-time buyers in a precarious position. Scotland plans to increase home supply by 2040 through various funding mechanisms for affordable homes. The simple truth is that as of this video, there hasn't been a broad solution put forth about the West's housing crisis, nor does there look to be much hope in the short term. The consequences of this are devastating, with real people suffering from a lack of affordable housing across the West and no real solution in sight. The consequences are very dire. Rising housing costs have significant repercussions for individuals and communities. People have less disposable income for essential needs such as groceries, bills, and transportation, leading to increased difficulty in making ends meet. Unaffordable housing contributes to homelessness, affecting an estimated 100 million people globally, with 25% living in conditions harmful to their health and safety. Lack of affordable housing also forces low-income workers to live farther from their jobs, resulting in lengthy and costly commutes that reduce productivity. Impacts of the housing crisis are widespread, with global house prices rising at their fastest rate in 40 years, outstripping supply. Rents have also surged, with a 14.5% increase in Europe during the first 3 months of the year alone. The housing crisis in Europe has reached alarming proportions, emerging as one of the most severe construction challenges in decades, with the UK especially hard hit. In Germany, new building permits have plummeted by more than 27% 27% in the first half of the year. France and the UK are grappling with similar challenges, with permits down 28% through last summer and a huge slowdown in the fourth quarter of 2023. Sweden is experiencing its worst construction slump since the 1990s, with building rates falling below the necessary levels to meet demand. Notably, these challenges extend to both single-family homes and large-scale housing projects. The consequences of this crisis extend beyond individual need to find somewhere to live or improve things as well, impacting government's ability to fulfill promises to voters. Countries like Sweden, the UK, and Germany are falling short of commitments to provide affordable housing, leading to escalating home prices and housing shortages. Social divides are widening, with citizens forced to allocate more income for accommodation, and tensions over housing are contributing to the rise of extreme political movements. Housing costs have become a critical political and economic challenge, prompting governments globally to grapple with potential solutions. The fallout from soaring property prices is evident in major cities like Berlin, where Mayor Michael Mueller highlights the exclusion of sections of society due to unaffordable apartments. This housing exclusion is not unique to Berlin, but is echoed in cities like London, Paris, Rome, and increasingly in various other locations around the world. Former CEO of U.S. mortgage giant Freddie Mac, Don Layton, recently warned that existing housing debt may sow the seeds of the next economic crisis if borrowing costs rise. Countries worldwide are facing the risk of a real estate bubble, with indicators signaling a level of intensity and danger not seen since the run-up to the 2008 financial crisis. It's clear that much more needs to be done about this crisis, and Western governments need to encourage cutting of red tape and bring down inflation and other economic issues that are making materials so expensive and slowing down new builds. The West's deepening housing crisis poses a multifaceted threat, challenging economic growth, straining social cohesion, and undermining the foundations of democratic stability. Addressing this crisis demands comprehensive policy overhauls, innovative solutions, and a renewed commitment to housing as a public good. If you like this video and want to learn more about what's really going on in the West, check out this video here. And if this video brought value to you today, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the video. Thanks for watching.